We've got to talk about how a Mexican Navy ship crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City. Because while information is still coming in, there are a number of unanswered questions. What we do know is that 2 crew members that were aboard the ship have died and more than 20 others have been injured. We've also seen a ton of videos of the crash from every conceivable angle circulating online, with every single one of them just being horrifying. And as far as what we know, the ship in question is called the Cuauhtémoc. It was on a goodwill tour with plans to stop in places like New York, Jamaica, Spain, London, and way more. In fact, the AP reported that the schedule included visits to 22 ports in 15 nations over 254 days, with 170 of them being at sea. And as far as what happened in New York, contrary to what some have said, the Cuauhtémoc didn't actually arrive in New York on Sunday. Instead, it actually arrived in New York on May 13th, and it was open to visitors for a few days. With the plan then being for the ship to push off from Pier 17 Saturday night, head south, and set sail out of the New York harbor with a stop in Brooklyn to refuel before heading to Iceland. However, when they left the pier, it started moving in the wrong direction, going backwards towards the Brooklyn Bridge behind it, with then the top of the ship's mast running into the bottom of the bridge and breaking like twigs as the ship just kept moving. And at the time of the crash, there were 277 people on board, with many left dangling from the damaged masts and harnesses. And of those 22 people who were injured, according to Mexican naval officials, 11 of those are in critical condition. Also, contrary to what some have been saying online, there were reportedly no injuries from people on the bridge, and the bridge itself didn't take any structural damage, and all the lanes across were reopened after a brief closure following the crash. And then afterwards, as far as the Cuauhtémoc, it was moved further up the East River and docked at a different pier. Also, as far as reactions, you had both New York Mayor Adams and the Mexican president putting out statements about the crash, thanking first responders, expressing condolences about those who died, and promising more information as investigations unfold. But of course, one of the biggest questions right now is how the hell could this possibly happen? And again, while we want more information to come in, according to a preliminary investigation, the ship, quote, experienced a mechanical malfunction. With then an unnamed senior city official familiar with the investigation reportedly telling CNN it was the current that took it under the bridge. It wasn't supposed to be headed in that direction, and adding they had some sort of mechanical issue. They lost power, so without being able to use the rudder, they could not steer. But again, very important to note that those are just preliminary findings and obviously subject to change as the National Transportation Safety Board, the NYPD, and the Mexican government investigate further. Hey, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this clip from the full Philip DeFranco show. And also, a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring our Clips channel. Turn your passion into profit over at squarespace.com/filler. Use the QR code. Because whether you're launching a business or a lucrative side hustle, your website is your digital business card. It's the only space where you control the story, no algorithms or distractions. And with Squarespace, it's so easy because they got a ton of stunning professional templates with drag and drop editing that makes site design incredibly simple. No coding required. So get started for free at squarespace.com/fill or scan the QR code on screen and use code PHIL for 10% off when ready to launch. Squarespace.com/fill.